All right, everyone, welcome into a fantasy football video. Going to be breaking down this year's fill in the blank. It'll be Puka Nacua, Kyren Williams, Dell, etc. And the point of this video is that this time last year, after preseason week 1, we had a pretty clear indication of which players we should be targeting, like those players I just listed. Puka Nacua, Kyren Williams, Dell. Those were all players I was begging people to go on draft. Prior to that, it was Jordan Love as well. So we're going to touch on all those players. We're going to try to replicate that success this year. So let's start out with Puka Nacua. Who is going to be this year's Puka Nacua? Now, I do want to say, guys, last year, the chips fell into the right places, okay? We're not going to get a Puka Nacua again, most likely, okay? But we do have two quality options, I would say. First is going to be his teammate that just went off and had basically the exact same hype out of camp heading into preseason week 1, and then had a very similar preseason week 1 as to Puka Nacua last year. That's going to be his teammate, Jordan Whittington. Okay, obviously he went off and had a great game last week. 9 targets, 6 receptions, 74 receiving yards. It was kind of clear and obvious, if you guys are someone that plays like preseason DFS, that every beat reported for the Rams were hyping up him and basically presenting him as Puka Nacua 2.0. Now, guys, the situation is a little bit different. Obviously, Puka Nacua, part of the reason why I was kind of touting him as someone you guys should be drafting in your fantasy football leagues and best ball drafts at the end of those was because of the situation. You had Cooper Kupp out, and so someone had to step up. But watch that play. That play just right there. I mean, it gives you the same vibes as Puka Nacua just straight up. Okay, some poor quarterback play from Stetson Bennett, but you just watch Whittington, and he just reminds you of Puka Nacua. And so the thing is, this time last year, people were pretty much writing off the LA Rams. Puka Nacua was someone that was an undrafted free agent, and he just continued to produce. And I'm watching this. If you put Nacua on the back of his jersey, I don't think anyone would be shocked. Like, they look so similar. It's crazy. And guys, I just have to show you one more clip here. This is a fantastic contested catch that he makes on this play. And again, gives you the same vibes as Puka Nacua. We saw Puka Nacua do that so much last year. Now, guys, that comparison honestly just felt too easy. Like, everyone's going to naturally draw that conclusion. Here's one that's a little bit more of a deep flyer. Devon Valle for the Denver Broncos is someone that has been getting hype out of camp. He's apparently doing better than Philly rookie receiver Troy Franklin. And he was someone, as I was doing my research for preseason NFL DFS week 1, I literally was getting vibes of Puka Nacua the way that kind of the beat reporters were talking about him and just kind of the situation. So think about it. Last year, a lot of people were writing off the LA Rams as a whole, kind of the offense as a whole as well. That's what's happening here with the Denver Broncos. Last year, Puka Nacua really didn't have that much competition, maybe minus Cooper Kupp when he got back. You could say the same thing for Devon Valle here as well. And so when I was watching his film, I was trying to watch and see what beat reporters and really what coaching staff was kind of seeing out of him as well. Obviously, he's a big body receiver. He made some pretty good catches in camp, but I want to go ahead and just like talk about the film that I saw here. So in that first clip, you saw him draw a DPI. I think he gets open on that one, obviously got held. This is just a nice smooth route. Easy separation, and that's kind of something you look for when you're watching kind of film for receivers. Just look at the separation that he has. Now, probably not a good DB, but he's a good yard away from that DB there. So good route there. Very smooth there, I would say, as well. Let's go ahead and watch some other clips here. So this one I liked because it's a good rub route. Like that's just something, if you do that successfully, and we'll see this again later on in the film, if you do this successfully without drawing a DPI, you're going to find yourself on the field more. And that is something that we saw him do there. Now let's go ahead and continue on. We got some more clips here. This is one where he's clearly open. Bo Nix did struggle in this game, guys. He was not that good. Misses him there. That's a big chunk yards play, but happy to see him pretty much wide open again. And then here's another one. He is wide open for a touchdown. In NFL standards, he is wide open for a touchdown here. At least drop it in the bread basket for him. You know, when he gets to the open spot, like when he gets to the point of the ball being released, Valle has a step on him. Okay? This should maybe be a walking touchdown. If not, it's going to be a big chunk yards play. And obviously, just a terribly thrown ball, a little bit rushed pass there. He tries to make an attempt, obviously gets another DPI there, goes back into the football, making the correct football plays. Here's another one where I don't know who we blame here, okay? Clearly a miscommunication between the two. Maybe it was a choice route. I'm not exactly sure, but I want to point this out. One, he is getting the end zone target here, right? Bo Nix is choosing to throw him the football here. I think that is something that we should be talking about. That they made a point of emphasis in getting the football. So if you're looking at the box score, you're going to see 3 targets, 1 reception, 3 yards. We're seeing that he definitely did better than that, and the production could have been there. And so here's one where, let's play the clip then. He's open. He's open. If they make the correct chemistry play here, that's an easy touchdown. Again, that should be an easy touchdown right there. And they just missed. And then here's just another play where, because of his good pick skills here, watch it, okay, makes this good pick play, sets up Jaleel McLaughlin to really just have a massive big play. And again, stays out of the defender's way, but does enough to cause that big play to happen. And so I did want to make that clear. And so I actually want to stick with that point of the Denver Broncos. Okay, so this year's Kyren Williams to me is going to be Jaleel McLaughlin. Okay, and the reason being is, again, kind of just the same things I mentioned with Puka Nacua and the Denver Broncos, is that a lot of people are just writing off the Denver Broncos offense as a whole, and it makes sense. Last year, people were telling you to draft Zach Evans. He was going to be the rookie running back there. They drafted him for a reason. That's kind of how people are treating Audric Estime this year as well. Watch the film. Didn't look good. Great, I should say. Last year, if you guys were following the tea leaves, or even prior to that, the year prior to that, there was a lot of word that Kyren Williams would be the RB1 for the LA Rams, and then he got injured. So they were forced to stick with Cam Akers. They never really liked Cam Akers there. In a weird way, that kind of seems to be what's going on with Javonte Williams. Now, I would say Javonte Williams has looked better on film than Cam Akers did, but there are rumors that Javonte Williams could potentially get traded. And so before I get into the clips of this, I want to show you guys this. I want to give a shout out to this person. I did use the Jordan Whittington film from this Twitter account, so I'm also going to use the Jaleel McLaughlin clips as well. So part of the reason and part of this thought experiment is that we got to look at ADP and everything. So we know that Jaleel McLaughlin is going late in drafts. You can get him in the last round of your best ball drafts and just season-long drafts. That's what is happening with Jaleel McLaughlin as well. Again, you look at kind of the reports and what the coaching staff is telling us, and everyone is just liking what they're seeing from him. And you watch the film here, and it's kind of easy to see as to why. It's a terrible drop right there. But he does present, I think, a lot of what Kyren Williams presented. And I kind of watch him, and I kind of see a little bit similar things to him as well. Maybe a little bit smaller legs, but kind of just does everything right, falls forward, and is a playmaker. And so maybe they do choose to get rid of Javonte Williams kind of randomly, I would say. And then we look at someone that instantly gets thrust into being an RB2 and obviously was productive in the passing game here. All right, so the next question I have is, who is going to be this year's Tank Dell? So you got to remember, this time last year, no one was excited about CJ Stroud. People were calling him a bust. Now, Tank Dell was getting a decent amount of hype out of camp, but he was going to be on a bad offense. An offense that just signed Dalton Schultz. You had Nico Collins. There wasn't going to be enough mouths to feed. Robert Woods was there. Tank Dell was not someone that anyone wanted to be on. It was projected to be a bad offense as well. And although he got a ton of hype out of camp, looked good in college, then looked good in preseason week 1, people still were not wanting to draft Tank Dell because it was going to be a bad offense. And so who's the one player that fits that mold pretty well? Rookie quarterback that maybe not might not be that good. Jalen Polk, right? Like Drake May, a lot of people are not excited about him. And Jalen Polk has been making a bunch of good plays in camp, looked smooth, and then looked really good in week 1 as well. Now, guys, Jalen Polk didn't do much in preseason week 1, but he did enough. I mean, that was a very nice clutch route they ran on 3rd and 5 to the yardage marker, makes a very good contested catch, and got the first down. I really saw enough of what I need to see from Jalen Polk to be confident in him as really a great late round flyer that we don't really have that much risk with. Like, the thought with drafting Tank Dell was that you're drafting a starter in the NFL that has looked good on film. That's what we're going to be doing with Jalen Polk. Now, I will say, before I watched the film, I was thinking it'd be Malachi Corley for the New York Jets. He was very unimpressive. Was not able to get open. There was no separation. Had one good heads-up play, but yeah, I changed my tune there to Jalen Polk. So I did really want to come up with a this year's Jordan Love. We don't have that, guys. That was just such a unique situation where, I mean, I can't really explain it. People were just conveniently ignoring how good he had looked in preseason and in the NFL games that he had played. And he was going so late in drafts that we just don't have a player like that. And so this one is going to be an easy take here that I'm saying, who is going to be this year's Baker Mayfield? And so what I mean by that is maybe a quarterback that we know is not all that talented, a player that has a ton of grit, a player that we're drafting in the last round or late rounds of our best ball drafts, season-long drafts. Maybe someone we're using as our QB1 that we don't feel good about. maybe someone that we can pick up on the waiver wire week to week, but someone that does have some good passing weapons. Obviously, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are two of the best receivers in the league, and really just two of the best duos of receivers. And also maybe a running back game that will catch passes out the backfield. Well, to me, guys, that screams the Tennessee Titans. And so that screams to me Will Levis. Obviously, Will Levis will have DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley. He also has Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears, two dynamic playmakers that can make big plays. And I mean, Will Levis even has like a very cheesy ad going as well. He's got a mayonnaise cologne line going on right now. Like, this is a Baker Mayfield ad to a T almost, right? It's so weird. Oh, geez. The protect your home stuff. I think we all remember that in Cleveland. This is just weird. I need to get this off the screen. But we would look at Will Levis, and he does present a lot of what Baker Mayfield can do as a quarterback. And honestly, I just hope to see a lot of these checkdowns go to Tajay Spears and Tony Pollard, and then maybe toss it up to Calvin Ridley occasionally. And he'll make dumb decisions like this. Like, we might want to call it grit, but at the same time, he's going to make, decisions like this. Probably should have scored a touchdown there. I mean, honestly, just stop your feet real quick, and you got a freaking walk-in touchdown. Like, literally, watch this play, guys. Scrambles. Good. Probably thinks he's going to get there. Put the brakes on right here. Like, come on. You got a touchdown there. He doesn't, and he gets lit up there, which was kind of a weird decision there. But I think that's a fairly easy take that we have here, is that Will Levis will be Baker Mayfield 2.0 this year. Going late in drafts, he's one of the last starting quarterbacks that you can take in season long, like guaranteed stars that you can take. That's honestly in a good spot. All right, so another kind of easier one as well. Who will be this year's Devon Achane? Okay, last year a lot of people were excited about Devon Achane as being a potential fantasy football sleeper. A lot of people liked the offense and the spot that he was in. He was someone that was drafted because of his speed, and that seemed to work for the Miami Dolphins. Now, the concern with Devon Achane is that he is someone that can get a little bit banged up. And really, last year we kind of figured that Achane maybe needed an injury to be someone that we could look at for season-long purposes or for even best ball draft purposes. And that happened with Jeff Wilson being injured. Now, Devon Achane is someone that can get injured as well. But at the same time, I think we got a direct comparison for Devon Achane in their drafted rookie this year in Jalen Wright. Sorry, guys, ignore the video quality of this. I record this on my phone, but this is Jalen Wright in the preseason here, and I think the similarities between Achane and Jalen Wright are just pretty easy to see. Sure, he needs to make that catch better. It was kind of a slick game. If you guys watched the film on this, everyone was sliding all over the field there. It was kind of a tougher game in that regard, so kind of just ignore that. But obviously a big dynamic play, kind of uses his speed to just make a big play. If you guys watched Devon Achane's film, that's really what stood out to me, is that I don't know if I would say like Achane was like elite in any sense of as like a runner or anything like that. He just ran to the spot, which is what you need to do in a Mike McDaniels type offense, and run hard. That's all you need to do to be a good running back in his system. And I would say Achane obviously does that extremely well. Mostert does that extremely well. That's a Chris Brooks run. Ignore that last one. But we saw Jalen Wright do that in this game as well. And so do we need something to maybe break our way a little bit for Jalen Wright to be someone that maybe booms? Potentially, but at the same time, I think Mike McDaniels has made it very clear that he is going to find unique ways to get his playmakers the ball. At times last year, we saw Mostert and Achane on the field together. Who's to say we don't see Wright and Achane on the field together as well? And Wright is probably one injury away from potentially having that high ceiling, maybe not as high of a ceiling as we saw with Achane. We know that's not sustainable, but Wright is literally Achane 2.0. And again, probably an easier one there. We got two more here, two receivers, and these are going to be a little bit more kind of wide open, I guess, if you will. One is going to be, who is this year's Nico Collins? Now, I will say this doesn't feel as much of a like one-for-one swap as the other ones have felt. Like ADP-wise, this is going to be much more applicable, but kind of paint the picture again last year. Last year, I think we all knew, I was pretty much hyping up Nico Collins a bunch last year, but we all knew Nico Collins probably had the talent to be a receiver number one. I don't think we knew for sure at that point, whereas this other receiver, I think we already know that he's a quality receiver number one. But let's paint the picture. Going in about the 4th to 5th round, sometimes 6th round, Nico was going around there as well, maybe even 3rd round, depending on the draft, but mostly 4th to 6th round. We kind of figured Nico Collins would be a PPR guy. especially in an offense that was presented to be a bad offense with a bad quarterback. And so to me, guys, this situation, ADP-wise, someone that we can trust as a week-to-week starter as well, screams one player. And that's going to be receiver Deontay Johnson. Now, again, paint the picture. Bryce Young, everyone's kind of saying that he's a terrible quarterback. This offense is going to be bad because it's not a good offense on paper, right? But one thing that we do know is that Deontay Johnson is a very good NFL receiver, and he's going to be someone that we can trust on a week-to-week format. And because of that, we can get a receiver number one that's going late. And because of that, we can get someone that we can trust as a weekly starter or a weekly contributor in best ball drafts or season-long drafts, obviously. He is someone that I feel like is just a very safe and comfortable draft pick for us. Now, if you want to include Courtland Sutton in that, you could as well. Kind of the same exact situation. And now this last one is also going to be one that is very similar, I would say, as to this one I just presented. And so who is going to be this year's DJ Moore? Now, DJ Moore was someone that people were drafting fairly early. I don't think many people were like worried about him being a disappointment for fantasy football or anything like that. But he was someone that clearly was a great value by the end of the season. He was someone that we could trust as a week-to-week starter, and he was someone that presented a great ceiling as well. Now, there were some questions around DJ Moore and his production. Touchdowns, was that going to be sustainable? Is he going to have the yards there as well? Is he just going to be reception-based? There's a lot of narratives there. And obviously, he had a quarterback that maybe was running a little bit more. Not many people liked the offensive coordinator last year as well. There were some concerns with DJ Moore. And to me, that receiver is quite clearly George Pickens. Now, yes, he could have the exact same quarterback as DJ Moore had last year as well, and Justin Fields. Could be Russell Wilson. I don't think we need to really worry about that as well. But we know that George Pickens clearly has the talent. The worry about him is really just the sustained production week to week. Some people don't really like the offensive coordinator and Arthur Smith. Some people might even be a little bit worried about the quarterback play. Russell Wilson and Justin Fields have proven that they can get the ball into the receiver number one's hands. And so who is maybe a mid to early round receiver that could present top 10 sustained upside like DJ Moore did last year? I think that's actually George Pickens. I think he presents a lot of upside. The talent has clearly been there. We just need the sustained production, and I think we're going to get that this year from him. Now, guys, these aren't really meant to be bold calls or anything like that. They're just more of kind of thoughts, experiments, if you will. Like if you are someone that maybe is drafting Puka Nacua and you're doing best ball drafts, or maybe you have a big draft as well, like a lot of players that are available, it might not be a terrible idea to draft Whittington as like maybe a handcuff or something like that. Or like Don Valet, jeez. He is someone that maybe pops up in week one as someone that goes off, and you would know that, all right, that probably wasn't fluky. Eric was saying that he is someone that we should potentially be looking at. Then he is someone that you could, think about bidding on. If Jaleel McLaughlin goes out and actually is the RB1 in week one, that wouldn't be surprising. Now, the other takes were not really as presented as hot take. Again, I don't want that to be, this is more of a thought experiment in terms of trying to replicate what we did last year, and I thought that was fun. If you guys enjoyed this coverage, please give a like and subscribe. That does help out the channel a lot. I would love to do more season-long and best ball draft content, so if you guys appreciate this and enjoy this content, let me know by leaving a like, and maybe let me know by leaving a comment whether you guys agree with the take, or if you guys have one of your own, let me know that in the comment section below. But again, guys, do really appreciate that. Give a like and subscribe. Again, I do appreciate that. If you guys want access to any season-long NFL DFS tools, lineup builders, prop tools, those are available at 9to5sports.com for just $10 a month. All right, thanks for watching, and as always, let's keep cashing.